Welcome to Perceptions Today podcast, where we discuss consciousness in all forms. May 2023, episode 45, Gabe Miranda Sr, Roundtable discussion, The Strangeness Decoded, part 2 of 4. Gabe Miranda Sr experiences dreams, sleep paralysis, nightmares and synchronicity. Participants knew it was being recorded, and he calls it the memory of subjective awareness during sleep. And according to him, its importance for cognitive science derives in two perspectives. One is the brain basis for consciousness itself, which, as we know, we can't really put a pin in and put a location in the brain where it is, or the body, because sometimes it's outside the body, as we know, as we experienced and discussed itself. And the other is the interpretation of dreams. Knowing the brain basis of consciousness reduces the so-called hard problem. Now, when people talk about the hard problem, I'm going to find out if anyone doesn't know the hard problem. And don't worry, it's not a demeaning thing. It's just I will give an explanation of what the hard problem is, and I will pitch it properly. So if those people don't know what the hard problem is, if you use the fist symbol, I will then know that, okay, Williams, okay, that's good. So in the hard problem, for example, when you hear something and when you see something, the sound and the information doesn't come in simultaneously to a point within your brain to be processed. There is a delay between it. And also there is the speed of sound and the speed of light difference. So the hard problem is trying to figure out, where do you, inside the actual brain, collate all that? Because they've also proven that with experiments, your brain is ready to do something 7 seconds before you've even thought about it. So that's disconcerting, just from a driving point of view. If you're making decisions 7 seconds before your consciousness actually knows what you call you are going to make a decision, or is you've made that up, and also how you're going to react with the world, it's kind of scary in that kind of environment. And again, your eyes are only taking in like 24 frames per second, and they're not taking in the whole visual spectrum of what's out there. So you can't see other things. And again, we found some people have actually been born with infrared receiving cells in their eyes, and they think it's natural. But obviously other people don't know that. So when they're trying to describe things, people have got the wrong idea that they're kind of peculiar or witchcraft or things like that. Now, I'm just going to check with yourself, Williams, if you're okay with that. Have you heard this kind of thing before, or does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I've heard about this. I didn't know that's what it was called, though, but yeah, I've heard about it.
Okay. If you don't want me to use you as a guinea pig, you can always tell me.
Use me.
I will pick on other people. So I just like to gauge the basis of where we're going with these things. So it's always fun to contemplate them. So where they're going on to this is saying that in a significant way, while the provision of an alternative psychodynamic dream interpretation frees the subject from the controversy in which it has been immersed for more than a century, these twin advances in science of dreaming are elaborated in Hobson's book and articles from 1977 up to the present. The following is a synopsis of the main points on dream consciousness as explained in his works. The reason why I picked this actual article was to lay it out in a Western kind of point of view, because most of us at the moment are listening in the Western Hemisphere. I will also take it from other people's viewpoints and other cultures, but as a framework that people could reference, I thought it'd be best to do it in this manner. Dun, dun, dun. So the hard problem is defined as the difficulty in specifying how subjective awareness could arise from brain activity. Now, he goes on to say that dream consciousness occurs when the brain is activated during sleep, during REM sleep. Now, I presume most people know what REM stands for, as in rapid eye movement, and it's the first kind of stages of, you get hypnagogic state, and then you're going into REM state, dreaming, and then according to kind of a lot of articles, you don't do anything after that. You go through a cycle and then you go back into REM state, wake up, and there's multiple times during the night that you wake up but you don't actually realize due to this. That's me just putting additional information in there. But so the activation is intense as it's in waking. At the same time, the input-output gates of the brain are actively closed and the chemical balance is shifted. Oh, great. I'm going to have to look up a word for everybody. We're all going to learn together. Get out your notebooks. Here we go. Welcome to Bio. Did I see someone laughing? Oh, 33. Yeah, I knew you'd take the mic. Right. I'll allow you to do that. And you, Renegade. You're fine on doing this. Oh, by the way, anybody who's new to the place, we are very slick in the way that we do things, and we go through quite happily. All right. So it's spelt AMINEGIC. So aminogenic receptors of the family of the G protein, coupled receptors. They play an important role in various diseases and represent a major drug discovery at target class. Their structure is a determination of all major aminogenic subfamilies and has enabled structure-based ligand design for these receptors. Now, that didn't even tell me anywhere apart from I know it's in the brain. Come on. Yeah, neurotransmitter. Good. Right. Okay. So the aminogenic hypothesis of depression were logical extensions of 4 landmark discoveries that neurons communicate via the release of chemical substances called neurotransmitters, that aminogenic neurotransmitters are found in high concentrations in specific brain regions that antidepressant drugs get to. Okay, so that explains that one. I think we're all unhappy with that explanation. And then he goes on to talk to Renegade, right? So then we got chlorenergetic ones. I'm not going to give you the symbol for it because I can't draw the molecule. I just see, right. The chlorenergetics agents are compounds which mimic the actions. Oh, great. So, in a word, they describe the various quantity ammonia salts containing found in most tissue. Chlorine is a primary component of neurotransmitters and functions in. Right. So, it's basically got a variation of chlorine into your brain with that. I might not go diving down that rabbit hole. So, the result is activated offline chlorenergetic brain, which perforce rather than perchance dreams. Now, okay, so where he goes then. So while acknowledging that this still does not resolve the hard problem of consciousness, in that it fails to specify exactly how and why the activated waking and REM sleeping brain becomes conscious, Hobson suggests that one answer is that the hard problem is ill-posed, and that it makes a dualistic distinction, meaning that, again, you'll hear dualistic mentioned a lot in the conversations. Did you realize that you'd come off mute, Lars? Did you realize you came off mute, Lars? I'll save you, otherwise you might be making... I'm going to put you on mute. Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
That's good. No. I just thought you were going to say something, or sometimes we've had
My phone
incidents
fell.
where people...
I was in the kitchen eating something. Sorry.
That's fine. Sometimes we've had people have their phone left open, or it becomes unmuted, and then we capture out things that happen, which people don't want to be heard when they're doing things, like washing plates and crockery and other bad things, which have made us laugh on this end of the actual conversation point, as Renegade is indicating there. And I lost my plot, but I'll come back to it. Right, dualistic, that's where I was. So talking about 2 points of view and the distinction between the brain and the mind. So that's where your dualism comes from in this particular conversation. An alternative theory is that the brain and mind are 2 physical aspects of a unifying system, the brain-mind. His discussion of these philosophical issues is summarized in further details. Now, I can put this document, actually this Wikipedia entry, into the shared section, which I'm going to do now. I won't go through it fully. I'm going to tweet it out. It's worthwhile going through because obviously it has links to the books that they're talking about. Yeah, let's put that one in there. Come back to the phone. Hum amongst yourselves while I try and find the tweet. And lo and behold, there it is. And here it's coming into the shared section. And it's above. And the other kind of article that I was finding was... Let's get this right. There was an article in 2017 about scientists identifying the actual parts of the brain that involve dreaming. 33, come to the floor.
I was just going to wait until you finished, but I wanted to actually touch on like dreaming and lucid dreaming, but because you were talking about that, and because I think there's a difference. So I wanted to hear this other article first, if you don't mind. I don't want to take us off subject. Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. I just decided to talk to the microphone when I was unmuted, so that's always fun. Right. Yeah, I'm just going to tell you that particular one. I was just going to put it up there, so if people wanted to read along, I will tweet it out at the same time. I wasn't expecting Gabe to go to the vets because we didn't know that was happening at the time. Normally when we have our guests, they tend to stay around, which is good. All right, I'm going to link it below the previous one. And here we go. Hopefully you'll bear with me as I'm doing this flying solo without my co-host. Unfortunately, my co-host, Melissa, is centered awareness. Not that that's the problem. She's actually feeling unwell, so she couldn't make it today. She is worthwhile looking up if you do CENTRED awareness. She has her own way. She's a sensitive as well. And here we go. Next link coming in. And here it comes up. Lars.
Some dreams are so wicked real. I had a difficult time. Had stopped smoking for a while before, and in my dream, I was smoking a cigarette while I was stopped, and I could taste it, I could smell it, like the old-fashioned way. It is unbelievable what can happen in your dream. You can feel, you can touch. So what is reality in this electric bubble?
Definitely, that is one of the big things that if you listen to shamans and other people who have psychedelic experiences, they feel it's more realer and textures and colors are so more intense than anything else. Natural Born Alchemist, you have your hand up.
What did you say was hard about that problem? They can't figure out why you're thinking react, or you repeat?
Their hard problem was the fact of dreaming and the interconnectedness between dreams and the brain of consciousness. That's their hard problem. They were trying to figure out, was it separate or was it mind-brain as one entity?
Oh, okay.
What you'll find is in the shared section, I've actually put up that link to the article for Hobson. You can actually read it. Let's go across. What do they always get in the wrong sequence?
You mean they think the brain and the consciousness, that they think it's difficult to understand if the consciousness is inside the brain or outside it?
No, they're talking about how the dream works. So the second white dot in the shared, if you look up everybody, you will see that it says dream consciousness. And that's the Wikipedia article I was quoting from. And that's where Hobson was trying to figure out how it's working with the chemical compounds within the brain using the amergeric and also the chlorine ones, which were giving you the dualistic point. Nice to see Gabe is back. If Gabe wants to take the floor, I will let Gabe come back and take the floor. We've been very quiet since you've been away, Gabe.
Well, that's understandable.
We've had nothing to discuss at all.
Yeah. So, I just definitely only...
Oh, first off, how's the dog? How's the dog? That's the main thing we want to know.
He just had a teeth cleaning. I wasn't supposed to be the one picking him up today, but apparently I got elected, so...
That's okay. We haven't spoken behind your back at all.
Oh,
Everyone's been saying nice things.
Well, that's fine, yeah. I had my notes somewhere, but I kind of like pushed everything back together, so now I'm lost. But I was listening in on the dream consciousness section that you guys were just discussing.
Excellent. We've got a few more people that are coming to the community and also wanting to be more active, which is great. So the way that you were talking about it was you were talking about the house and the way consciousness was following up into having the electromagnetic fields and seeing whether your house possibly might be that way. Presumably the cargo railway system that is near yourself is all... Oh, it could be coal-powered rather than electrical power, I assume, possibly.
Yeah, actually, it's diesel-powered engines, so they're very loud when they pass by.
Yeah, but...
but
we're just trying to think whether you had a massive electrical field due to the fact over in some countries you have wiring above the actual railways to actually give the power instead of diesel.
But I could.
So this is one of the things we're looking at.
Yeah, I could speak to that. The electrical part. I know that in certain cases where there's groundwater and deposits of quartz, you can have, I guess, like that piezoelectric effect where,
Definitely. And you've also got Tesla, and you've got the pyramids, and you've also got the the aquifers below that as well, making energy. I mean, that's another great subject to go into at some point.
So when the water and any kind of electrical disturbances come from underneath, that could excite the quartz in the ground, which, by the way, in my backyard, this development was backfilled with dirt and stones, and the majority of the stones that you dig up in the backyard are kind of like rock quartz. So I did notice that that could be the how you say the driving force behind any paranormal things that happen. Let's say like entities or shadows.
I have to butt in on this one and say to people, I want to see if people have listened to this podcast, because there is a place in the USA called the Penny Royal, and it's a massive area where there is a mountain chain, and it has a lot of quartz deposits in it. And they talk about the strange things, the energy flow there, and the weird experiences. And there's a particular hospital where patients go where they have psychiatric disorders. And most of the people come from the village or town where all this activity is, but they haven't really realized that they've not connected the dots, that the people have come from one place where all this quartz is giving off, say, electrical charge of some description, whether it be magnetic or other bits interfering with the brain chemistry of the people. And then they're being taken over to another location, to this particular hospital, and they're not taking it into consideration where they're coming from. So has anyone actually listened to it? It's a 12-parter, and next year they're coming out with the next series. Has anyone listened to the Penny Royal podcast? Because I'll put it into a tweet and put it out there. Use the 100% if you have listened to it. Use the fist sign if you haven't listened to it. It's a greybeard. Fist sign, you haven't listened to it. Good. Nice response. So would people like me to put it into a tweet? Yay! Hands 100%. Yeah, good people. Gabe, carry on. Gabe, can you hear me, please?
Hey, I'm sorry.
You can continue if you want.
Button again.
It's okay. You come to realize how bad it is for me as a host to try and do these things as well.
I lost my train of thought in the backyard with the train.
Piezoelectric and the quartz backfill at the back of your house.
Yeah, so like whatever we have back there, it's like whatever you dig out of the ground is definitely all pieces of rock quartz, probably.
Have they stolen the button, Gabe?
Hello?
You were talking about the back of your house and the fact that there's a lot of quartz been backfilled into that area.
Right. So if
Gabe's not going to talk, I'll get Renegade to come and talk.
Okay.
So
Renegade.
It's a kind of similar situation as in Gabe's one. My youngest brother, he also had huge nightmares for a couple of years until some guy told about the ley lines, energetic fields that are caused by underground water or something like that. And he suggested us to turn the bed or move to another place in the room. So we did it. And after we did that, the nightmares ended. And to test this out, we placed this bed to the old location. And then again, my brother has these nightmares. And from that moment, whenever he got nightmares for a longer period of time, he replaced the furniture inside his house. And usually that works to end the nightmare. But I don't know, it's suggestive or a real thing, but compared to the story of Lars, I think
it sounds a bit like Feng Shui. I think, yeah,
something
doesn't
like
it?
Feng, yeah. Blah.
I couldn't say either. I got my teeth caught.
Feng Shui method. But anyway, this guy told me, not me, but my parents, that these ley lines are also used to build churches on, crossing points, and also ancient.
Yes, we got them here in the UK, which we've got ancient circular, early kind of 12th century. So they got a pit going round them on the outside, as in a trough kind of trench, circular. And then you've got a church which is literally built 200 feet the other direction, but they've kept it because of, obviously, people build on other people's sacred ground. And you can almost have the whole thing. There's one going straight through Buckingham Palace. After Renegade's finished, obviously Greybeard is going to say something, but we've lost Gabe, can other people see Gabe's icon? Because I can't see it at the moment.
I can't see it either, Paul.
Okay, Greybeard.
Actually, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. When you were requesting Gabe, I could hear him speak. He was responding to you, but you apparently could not hear him, and then he disconnected.
He might be coming back with a bit of luck. Yeah, so I wonder if other people had the same thing, because I couldn't hear him at all. I think Renegade couldn't hear him.
I could hear him, but he's gone now.
Ah, so it must be just me as a host. That's not good, is it? Trying to be a nice host to people and talking over them. All right. Yeah, I'm now putting into the shared group the Penny Royal podcast. It's 8 hours, and it's very worthwhile listening to. I think it's down in Kentucky, around that area. I could be wrong. No, it's still not there. Okay. This is fun. It's trying to find where's your guest gone. All right. Greybeard.
That's interesting. I've never heard of the Penny Royal, but you mentioned that it's in Kentucky. I know that we share some fandom with a certain show, but you probably learned from a TV show or certain docuseries that there's a lot of weird things in Kentucky. And
Yes,
people from Kentucky will tell you that a lot of weird things happen along the mountain ridges in Kentucky. So that's fascinating.
Yeah, they were actually interviewed on that particular one. Why is it? Give me the name again, because I've forgotten the name off the top of my head.
Hellier.
Yeah, Hellier. So they were interviewed on Hellier, and the guy was promoted on there, and he was talking about one particular incident where you'll remember this. He's in his bedroom with bathroom to one side. His girlfriend's in the bathroom. He's in the bedroom. And while he's walking towards the bathroom, he sees the thermostat, which is on the wall in front of him. And I think he just says it's on, say, the left of the door frame. And he watches the thermostat square physically move down and then move across 90 degrees and then move back up again. And then it's like a replay of a very strange film, and he couldn't understand how this happened. And his actual girlfriend or wife, I can't remember off the top of my head correctly, she's actually a nurse at this particular hospital where they take all the people that have psychiatric disorders. I think you've heard that in Hellier. And again, Hellier is a very good podcast. Go onto YouTube and look at that. That's 2 series. Very worthwhile watching. It's Strangeness Incorporated, and they're trying to figure it out as well, because first off they start trying to look for cave dwelling creatures, and then it just evolves into something beyond. And one of the interesting experiments within that is giving a fake implanted memory of a UFO experience to one of the actual team who volunteered to have it. And after having this embedded hypnotism, he now can't shake having the memories of this fake abduction from being real. And it's really, as we've said before, if you are going to a hypnotist to have regression or anything else, you have to really make sure that there is someone that you believe in, and 2, they don't lead with leading questions to make you start having your brain pick up and create, say, scenarios from leading questions. For example, did they have 3 toes? Then your brain will suddenly start generating this kind of information. So Greybeard, I think you saw that particular episode as well.
Yes, I've seen both seasons, all the episodes, but that was when it first came, 3 years ago when they came out?
Yeah, and it's free to watch on YouTube. You can easily find it. And again, it's on Amazon Prime, I think. And lo and behold, Gabe is back, possibly. I've got his icon back. He's a speaker, from his co-host, and hopefully he'll be able to talk to us.
He can't find his bottom.
There's so many jokes in that, so much time. Yeah, I can't find it. Sometimes my fingers won't actually get onto it properly due to sensitivity. Gabe, I've sent you a co-host invite. Please talk to me.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Do you hear me?
I can hear you
Hello?
now. Now, previously, it turned out that Greybeard could hear you. Well, I couldn't hear you, and a few others couldn't hear you, and others could actually hear you. So the world is a peculiar place tonight.
Well, unfortunately, I have bad reception here, cellular, and my internet gets throttled because my son plays video games all day. So I know a lot of people here can agree with that. That happens. So yeah, my cell phone really works on the internet, and yeah. So whenever someone's playing a first-person shooter, it really drags on the internet.
Okay, before you get going, Renegade, I think he's going to
just a small
answer.
interruption for you, Paul. William is co-host now, so instead of Gabe, you pressed William, I think.
That's true.
I
just thought you were being nice. I was like, oh, wow, okay, sure, I'll be your co-host. Sure,
So
why not?
I think it is a small disruption in sending the co-host.
So, welcome. You're part of the community. I'll let you be into the co-host. Now, there's only one rule. Do not screw up while you're being a co-host. And don't boot anyone out. Let me do that. Because I don't know you from anybody at the moment, but hopefully we will be friends. Otherwise, I shall remove all your privileges. William?
I'll be good. I'm a Canadian, right?
Good.
So, yeah, I'm a nice guy. I'll behave.
Excellent. So, everyone, good evening. William is going to be our second co-host for the evening. And hopefully Gabe will actually accept the co-host option, which I gave him. All right, I'm sending it again. As you can have two co-hosts. And if anybody wants training in how to be a co-host, I'm quite happy to give that at some stage. Obviously not during this session. It just takes you about 10 minutes to learn how to do it. And if you want to ever host a space, if you've got 300 followers, then you can actually create a space. And you can do it with tickets so that the doors close after 10 minutes. And you have a half hour to turn up, so you don't have to repeat yourself when you've been going for 5 hours. Or you can have general open sessions of anyone can come in like they do here. So,
Paul,
right.
They changed the settings on Twitter, so everybody can make a space now. You don't have to need 300 followers anymore.
Okay, so their beta testing's changed. That's good. That's fine. Superb. So, Renegade, when you start doing hosting a space, I will come and listen.
Can be a long time. I'm so bad in hosting. I'll better be a listener. Okay.
Okay. Well, if any of the community want to host anything, I'll go and listen. I'm quite happy to do that. Right, Gabe, on your marks, get set. Got your paper?
No, actually, I do have my papers. Yeah.
So where you were last time was, before you got booted out by the universe, you were talking about the quartz backfill at the back of your house and how that could actually possibly be causing electrical signals and maybe magnetic interference on people's brains and affecting them.
Right. But but like I said, with my family being all sensitives, it kind of acts as a beacon to anything that's might even just be wandering around, and they just pop in to say hi.
Yeah, could I also say that when you were talking to me and we were discussing today, you should mention about the particular route outside your house and the plaques, because I think that helps as a power source to actually make the sensitive people react more. Yes?
Yes. So the area that I live in, the development was built in, it was a farm area that was owned by one family. But the area predominantly was the first African-American settlement in this town in the 1850s. So most of the people that lived here worked building the railroad. And that railroad eventually turned into the cargo, the CSX line that's behind my house. So there is one story of a ghost or a phantom somewhere on the tracks further down, maybe about half a mile away. And when my wife, when we first moved here, my wife says to me, she looks in the backyard, she says, somebody's out there. And I look out, I said, there's nobody there. She said, no, somebody. And I said, oh, okay, I understand. So, so having a family of sensitives is like having a flashlight on in the dark for, and paranormal stuff to happen. And I can't prove it. I would love to have someone figure it out for me, but I think that would hold true if someone came here and tested out. I see 33 had his hand up.
Oh, yeah, before 33 gets in, because I'd like to butt in across him anyway, because he butts in across me when I'm being a host. When we're looking at these things, I feel that the more attention we give to it, we charge it in a battery kind of environment. And I think people agree with that kind of thing happens as well. And for all the new people that are joining us as a community, I think you also find that we don't stretch the truth in here. We kind of be on the basis of being as exact as we can with this kind of information. And normally you can really tell when someone's pulling other people's legs about these things. So I think you will find that it's safe to say if Gabe or anybody else is giving information, as they've been part of the community for a long time, it's really kind of spot on. And as far as they know, it's truthful. And it's just one thing that I just like to put out there because it's really nice for people to spend their time and come and say this. Now, 33, take the floor.
Okay, well, I was just putting my hands up to agree, especially having family members that have some really strange experiences. I understand. But I wanted to actually ask, since I got the mic, what about lucid dreaming, Gabe? How do you feel about lucid dreaming versus dreaming? As far as I understand it, it's like when I dream, and I'm trying to recapture. I have a lot of trouble remembering my dreams, and even when I use DMT, sometimes if I'm not quick to like record it, or it'll dissipate fast. But my lucid dreams, okay, I'm more in control of it. And I was wondering also if you wanted to touch on the ability to control your dreams and the content or lucid dreams. I was wondering how you felt about that.
Yeah, well, I only started reading about lucid dream, and that's where the particular whoever's having the dream can exhibit some sort of control within the dream that's going on, because sometimes where you're having too many nightmares, and maybe you can tell whatever it is to stop. And I've read a book where that's possible. I forget the author. I didn't write down certain authors' names when I was compiling my information, but yeah, there is a certain level of control you can do with lucid dreaming. What I've been noticing is that I have a certain amount of control as far as being able to rewind the dream as it's happening, and certain items or necessary parts of the dream will insert themselves after a certain scene. So let's say like you're watching a movie and all of a sudden there's a guy attacking you and you stab him with a knife. Now, how did that knife get into your hand? Now, what happens to me is the dream will rewind and I will see where I got the knife from. So like if I'm asking myself the question, where did the knife come
Gabe,
from?
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to butt in here, but we've got two people with their hands up with Natural Born Alchemist, then 33 Rule. So let's get those questions in there. Alex, Natural Born Alchemist?
No, 33 was before me.
Was he? Oh, I'm trying to victimize him at the moment.
Please, go ahead. I can wait. Go ahead.
No. Let's get this right. Let's be polite. Come on, 33.
Okay.
My eyeball didn't catch it,
okay,
obviously.
No, twist my arm, won't you? Okay. So one of the things I just wanted to touch on is just because I wanted to ask you is I'm like experiencing lucid dreams, and I'm trying to recapture some of the dreams and things that I'm missing out on. And I'm also taking low doses of mushrooms, so I can actually, like right before I go to bed, so I can actually influence them. And when I do lucid dreamings, I'm using crystals and positive affirmations and in a very ritual setting. And that's been working for me. I just wanted to add that, and I'd love to hear what Natural Born Alchemist has to add.
All right. I like what you said, Gabe, about rewinding. I don't know if you call it those lucid dream. I'm not sure what you said, but rewinding a dream, I don't think is lucid. It's like half lucid, because if it's a lucid dream, in my experience, I don't need to rewind any. But the interesting thing with also with the rewinding a dream is when you dream and the dream doesn't go as you like, so you also can rewind and not watch what happened, but also redo it in a different way, and sometimes I've rewind the dream many times until I get
kind of a video game play, yeah. And try a different variation of it.
But then also with what 33 said there, I find it interesting. I don't really know why this is, but I know a lot of people who have trouble remembering psychedelic experiences or dreams. And in my own case, I have no problem remembering anything. So I don't really know if that's genetic or some trauma blocking it, or I don't know what it could be. But I would recommend, though, one of the strongest tools for memory is scent. So maybe try and have a certain scent where you sleep, and maybe somehow also think about this. If it's let's say it's jasmine flowers or something, always think about them so you have them in the dream, and maybe can connect the smell with your dreams? Because that's a very good trick if you're doing a study for a test. If you study with a certain perfume and then you have the perfume when you do the test, you'll remember more.
You can also find on YouTube videos on memory, just, like challenging to remember, say, playing cards or other kind of variations, but you can also do it for dreams as well. Before we get to Lars, obviously, Alex, once you've finished, have you finished your addition to Gabe?
Yeah.
I don't know, over. Right, okay. So I also would like people to see that in our environment is the author, R.N. Vogt, who's got the icon down here, which is a skull, which is in, I'm going to say, slightly green turquoise. Always worthwhile going to see his books and listen to him on other people's podcasts. And after Lars, we're going to Krista. So Lars?
We have different kinds of dreaming. We have lucid dreaming. We have sleep dreaming. When we're sleeping, the body, your hypophysics, the third eye, releases a lot of chemicals, more than 286, I believe.
That's all out your pituitary gland, everybody.
And you also have meditation. I don't know who has experience with that. I do a meditation with music of Phil Thornton. He has a number with...
Oh, 1 second, Lars. Is that Phil with a PH or with an F?
Phil PH. Thornton.
Okay, so I've written that down. Is he English or Dutch?
He's English.
Just for when people are trying to...
sometimes plays in England on the big gatherings.
Oh, is he a guitarist or is he a composer? Because if people type into YouTube...
musician, but he knows about frequency, about sound. He also has a record with Tibetan meditation. He also made music with people from India, Australia. He is a sound musician, and he brings...
Oh, yeah, so he's a multi-instrumentalist and electronic music pioneer. Right, got it. So I got his link, right.
Tibetan
so what I'll do is I'll put it into the tweet.
I'm not always sober when I do that. I'm honest. I had a smoke and a drink, and then I put out the light, put on a candle, put on his didgeridoo music. It's a harmony sound I also heard in the jungle of Suriname, South America, Suriname. My son is shut up, 13 years old.
Can I say no arguing with any of the households that were in this room? We're all a very polite room. Now bring your son onto this room and I'm just going to have a little word with him, okay?
I got him in a jungle in Suriname with a ritual, very strange. There's more between the dimensions. The Bible is talking about 7 heavens. And at CERN they are speaking about 7 dimensions. That's the purpose which CERN, the Hadron Collider, was built, to research the 7 dimensions. And now it's up to you.
Okay, what I was going to say was I've now put the Phil Thornton actual website into the shared section. So if people want to go and look at that, that's great. Krista, thank you for being patient. Please step forward.
Hi, does my audio sound okay?
Audio sounds great.
I just wanted to, I think it was 33 rule that asked about just having difficulty remembering dreams. And what has worked for me is a slew of trying a bunch of different things to kind of see what the right formula is for myself. But I think that it's important because dreaming is in itself an altered state to try to approach dreaming as a DMT unto itself. If you use DMT or marijuana or whatever to get into the dream state, that is a doorway to go through it to reach that. But it's hard to maintain that. It's not a sustainable way to develop a dreaming practice. And to be sober as much as you can to help hone a dreaming practice, that in itself becomes the vice, so to speak. So for me, not drinking alcohol, not smoking weed, not doing other things, even, not having too much day so that I can get a full night's sleep, so that I can dream deeply, that to me, that has been kind of the pivotal piece. Other things, we talked about, I think last time was about like cheese and wine or whatever. I think that's...
Oh, yeah, we went through that one, yes.
I think that's more anecdotal, but I think vice in itself, if you can use the dream as a practice to get off of that, to then have the dream to be the vice, I think you have more success remembering them, having a clearer mind when you wake up, and be able to record it, even just telling it to someone else or writing it down. That's just been what's helpful to me. Mm-hmm.
Would it be comfortable for you to describe, in a 30-second, your kind of experiences and your focus areas? I mean, you can plug yourself, but obviously sometimes when people come into rooms like this, they don't know where they're getting their information from.
Sure.
Obviously,
yeah.
I've looked into your background, but it's also nice for you to sort of promote yourself as well.
Yeah, I have always been a dreamer in the actual sense, in the literal sense. I was always kind of a dreamy person, but I had night terrors as a kid. I had kind of the old hag syndrome is what they call it, where you feel like someone's sitting on you. I've had experiences that seem paranormal that, I can't explain, but I've always been open to things that I could not see or understand, and dreaming is just the sleeping side of that. So this past year, I started to read more specifically about lucid dreaming, and in relation to a health issue that I was having, I was dealing with my medical doctors, with herbal medicine, with meditation, with yoga, and dreaming was kind of another avenue for me to approach my health issue. And that led me into the world of lucid dreaming. So I picked up Andrew Holichek's Dream Yoga book, Stephen LeBerge's Lucid Dreaming book, and so on and so on. So I've read a lot about specifically lucid dreaming, not just the science of sleep and the science of dreaming. So it's been mostly modern periodicals and modern books about what the current studies on lucidity are. And I have been successful. I started in January, and I think March was my first fully lucid dream. And I have had success, and I had to actually back away, because the more you lucid dream, you're actually not sleeping very deeply. So you can become exhausted from lucid dreaming too much. So now it's a matter of just using the lucid state to help me with my own personal space. But it's also a lot of fun. It's fascinating. I've really enjoyed reading Gabe's dream logs in the morning, because he and we both live in North Carolina, and we wake up about the same time, and we'll like tweet our dream logs out, and it's just kind of fun to see what other people are experiencing. So I'm not a professional. It's just my own individual experience, but it's been something that I had an easier time with because I was always a dreamer. I remember dreams that I had when I was a kid still. I've always been a very vivid dreamer, but it was only in January that I started to actively practice lucidity and have success with lucidity. And with lucid dreaming, you have agency in your dream. You can decide to do things or not do things. You have a lot more power in the dream. You're not just kind of flowing down the river of the narrative of the dream. You are actively in control, and that can come with various levels of power. Sometimes it's just being able to turn a doorknob. Sometimes it's being able to just wipe the entire scene clear, like a blank slate, and start over again. So that's my spiel. Thank you.
That's why I wanted people to actually get a bit of knowledge behind you, because you speak with knowledge, and also the fact you're a photographer as well, and you should really plug that as well. It's always good. Now, Williams, I'm going to let you have a bit of a go at this if you want.
No, that's okay. I'm just in the middle of doing something with my nephew.
Oh, that's fine. I was going to let you bring people to the floor, but you can continue just sitting there. That's fine. Lars, you were going to say something.
For Krista, it is not always that I have smoked pot. My meaning of what I also sent was the music and it can be a didgeridoo. It can also be classical music or soul music. Put on a candlelight, and you also can be sober. Some music, it's all vibration. It's all can bring you into a higher state of consciousness. I also can do it with my iPhone, the meditation, and you can have a very, very harmonious feeling when you do it right. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah.
Thank you.
Not a problem, Lars. 33, step on up.
Hey, I wanted to respond to Krista. I appreciate your commentary. I used to dream as a child. I was flying, and there are many other things. And because of some childhood trauma, where the alchemist astutely pointed out, it's from trauma. It's nothing. Is I had a lot of dreams, and my father was a flower child, and he kind of corrupted me very young age. So drugs isn't something that's had an effect, but from that trauma, my dreams went away. And until I accepted the special side of myself that I was kind of not really wanting to be in tune with. And once I accepted who and what's really happening, a lot of things have changed. And, just some of the times on the DMT, because I use DMT and I use mushrooms, not a lot of marijuana because it doesn't really have an effect on me. But I have to say that, I do control my lucid dreams, and I use them the way you do. And maybe that's part of why I'm not, maybe my soul is resting while I'm, manifesting during the day. That's kind of how I look at it. Anyway, I just wanted to pass it and say thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you for...
Can I respond real quickly?
You sure can.
Yeah, I don't say that as a judgment to not use a substance to get into that. I just, as my experience, it helped me to kind of release myself from those. But with any sort of journey, like, I don't care how you get into it. Like, if you're making progress for yourself, then, and you're not doing yourself ultimate harm or other people harm.
Krista, I think you're going to have to put a caveat on that. I think you should say that hard substances you probably wouldn't recommend.
Well, I mean, even with that,
within a way of not damaging yourself in a certain way.
I mean, even with that, like,
just in case anyone's listening.
I mean, it takes all kinds, and however you have to get there. I mean, if you get there, then I'm not going to draw a line between one or the other. I think that if you're using
non-harming, let's put it non-harming, because that's the best way to say it.
Yes,
Otherwise,
sure.
people could interpret it from one extreme to the other, and we're not that advocate on here. We're safe people, hopefully.
And I think intuitively we know, like, is this good for me or it's not good for me? Most people know that if they actually pay attention to what the right answer is. But 33, whatever you need to do to get to that point, I think is you seem intuitive enough to find that. So again, I wasn't casting judgment on you. I think dreaming and lucid dreaming is a really great way to deal with stuff that maybe might be more just too intense to deal with during kind of the waking life. And the dream space is a really safe place physically and metaphysically to be able to deal with that. So good on you.
Because you've been in the community for a while, Krista, I don't think you would have thought that you were actually criticizing in any way what you were saying, because everyone's been very kind to be very public with, say, difficult parts of their history, as well as also how they think as well, which is very kind of them to do that in this space, which is great. And I have to say, the wealth of knowledge that comes out every time, and again, Paranormal Blip and other people within here and Greybeard will say that it's fantastic, the interlockingness and the sharingness of it all. And again, for those who have just joined us, if they got their diary out, UK time, 15th of December, we've got a 5-hour conversation that's going to be done with Anthony Peake, which is going to be promoted heavily by us, oddly enough. And there will be people that you know turning up, and there'll be a promo going out from Paranormal Blip, RN Voot, Natural Born Alchemist, and also continuing the conversation. And we're going to give that link to everyone, and we're just going to promote it totally within the next few weeks and go from there, because the more we get together, the more we can find out that we are similar, and we will find out these strange things that have happened to us have got real reason for why they are there, and we might be able to dig into something deeper, even if it's just that 1% that we find a bit more of information, which would be great. Anyway, Gabe, go back to the facts of the hand and the knife, and you don't know how you got the knife in your hand in your dreams.
Okay, so yeah, so sometimes the dream will play through, and you won't realize how something appeared. Let's say it can be any object, it could be a bottle of water or whatever. But then the dream, in my instance anyway, I've noticed that the dream will replay itself because I missed a detail of where I picked up the bottle. So like if it seems like it's an impossibility, then the dream will rewind itself and then make it a possibility. So in that case, I could say it's sort of lucid dreaming, but I think 99% or 95% of my dreams have been vivid nightmares, if you could call it that. I've had all nightmares have to do with escaping or fighting some evil, or or trying to get through some barriers. So a recent dream of mine where I was prevented from entering by two security guards. And it's happened on several occasions where I'm about to break through a barrier and I'm prevented. So I know that I'm overstepping my bounds at that point. You can go ahead, Paul.
So with these dreams, do you find that you can find any correlation in real life of what the obstruction is, or do you think it's prophetic, kind of there's something coming up that needs to be battled with, or do you think it comes from your past? Because it kind of interests me on those areas. If you get a kind of gut feeling to what the dream's about, as in the backbone to it, not what's actually physically going on.
Well, I think it might be a place of knowledge or a place of understanding that I'm not ready for yet. Because the place that I was trying to cross through the threshold of seemed to be a library of sorts. And I think that for whatever reason, if I could have gotten through, then either I would have been privy to some knowledge, or maybe on a metaphysical level, I might have ascended to another level. But I'm thinking that perhaps in this dream space, I'm not ready. So yeah, Renegade, you have your hand up?
Yes, for you, Gabe. As an outsider, I cannot judge your dreams. I'm not going to do that, but I see some kind of a pattern, repeating pattern. You're talking about guardians, gates, decoding, opening locks, and blocking. And there is some kind of a connection between this. It's you want to open something inside you is blocked. I cannot give you the answer, but I think the answer lies in the strangeness of decoding. And you're talking about, in one dream, about a lock. I was wondering, is it the cipher lock?
Yeah, I think recently...
because just intuitively, I came across the idea, why don't you try in your dreams, when it's possible, to use the code 333?
Right. That does make sense.
I don't know.
What would the code 333 mean to you, by the way, Renegade? Because it means no connections.
It's a repeating thing in Gabe, his own dreams. So this number is repeating several times.
Yeah. So I do have a series of repetitive hours that I will wake up. I sometimes don't sleep 5 hours from, let's say, 10:30 to 3:30 in the morning, which would be about 5 hours. But I will wake up every odd hour on the hour. So it'll be like 11:30, 1:30, 3:30, and 5:30. Sometimes in between, but it does become repetitive, and 333 is one of those numbers that comes up. A number that is repetitive also is 620.
I'm just suggesting this
which
idea.
Is weird.
So yeah, if you have the chance to try out a code, why not give this a try? And maybe this unlocks some other doors. I don't know, but you can try it out.
That's a good idea. I mean, 33 is always talking about how things add up to him for 33, which is fascinating that you're using 333, and obviously 33 has that recurring in his own lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. I'm willing to try it out if I can pull my consciousness far enough away from the action. There's times where I'm just I like to observe, which is the problem. I'm not a doer. I'm not a go-getter. So my whole life has been observing. I like to observe. So when when the action is going on in front of me, instead of stopping anything or trying to continue, I'll just sit back and observe. So I'm definitely taking notes of everything that's going on in these dreams and nightmares. So it's definitely like Krista was saying. I could probably try lucid dream. I'm definitely in all of these dreams. I'm not trying to lucid dream. I'm just going to bed tired. So whenever these dreams and nightmares pop up, it's just it's more of a random occurrence. I don't have any inkling of when they're going to come through.
Yeah, but it's
33
it's
feet.
not just a random
Yep.
story. There's some red line in your story. But it's not up to me to find out what this line is leading to. But
I do have several storylines that are going through. I have one with the siblings, which are the two children in Africa that I know, that I've seen on several occasions, and there's a host of others that just keep repeating. There's places like I've never been to Brazil, but I've dreamt of Brazil. I dream of London. There's a place there where the Cabal sits in London. And if ever I go to London, I might have to find it.
We got 33 with his hand up. With these things, as we had last week, as we were discussing, was Christopher Isham, I should say, the physicist. And he was talking that obviously you have the noisy dreams, which you can't make much sense of, but you have the big dreams that continue over a period of time. And this sounds very much like that. After 33 rule, we've got, oh, great. There's a hand up, and it's just as 4 M's. So we'll see what happens after that. 33.
Yeah, Gabe, I just wanted to touch on something respectfully. What I kind of did a little bit as well is maybe you should try the lucid dreaming, because I study hermetics. I'm an initiate of that, and I believe to be always. I've been doing that all my life, quite frankly. I just understand that to be just a way of life as a martial artist and someone who's always been in self-help. So the thing is the message that I'm kind of getting is that you should try control of that, and maybe the message is for you to try to be the cause and not the effect. As you like to say, you sit back, but maybe you might want to try lucid dreaming and be the cause, and maybe you'll see it through. Because I work out a lot of stuff when I'm controlling the dream. The first lucid dream I had was me flying as a child. And so I use lucid dreams to work out things, not my dreams. So I don't really have a problem not remembering. I would like to, but that's where my soul gets a rest. So I can go on vacation. Anyway, just wanted to share that.
Okay, for the 4 M's, if you want to speak.
Hi, sorry. Yeah, I know I'm new to your group. I've just been tuning in and listening. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, no. I mean, what we can do is give you a quick brief overview. Have you actually looked at what the group's about?
I kind of get the gist of it's about kind of lucid dreaming, people seeing apprehensions, maybe.
Okay. How would you like us to refer to you? Because it is 4 M's there, which can be quite confusing.
You can call me M. That's fine. Yeah.
Right. Now, we have another friend who might come in, and she is EM, which might cause a little confusion.
Don't worry.
That's okay. We talk about consciousness mainly and the inside and connectiveness to it. If you're quite happy about that,
it's absolutely
be quite happy in the community. Our main kind of aim is to strive forward to interconnect people with research and try and be helpful to people. That's the main game of what we're up to. If you follow us and you're quite happy about it, I can give you 3 links, which I tend to give to most people. It's kind of a taste tester to see where you sit on information. You can come back and come forward and interconnect with either all the different social media bits. We have guests that come through. Gabe is a guest to us and also part of our community and talking about his experiences. So just follow me. I'll give you the links and continue talking to Gabe.
Brilliant. Thank you. Sorry, I was just obviously listening to you guys, and I was just wondering why people are using the likes of, not that I'm against it, cannabis and mushrooms to kind of open their consciousness, because that's the impression I get, why people obviously people that do use drugs and harder drugs.
Right. Gabe, is it okay if I just take over and just have a quick talk to Em to find out where she comes from, and then I can pitch information?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, Em, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask a few questions, and we're just going to have a psychiatrist couch here for a minute so that I can get things. So, for example, when people are talking, and we're talking in the respectful state of using psychedelics, we're not talking going out on the streets with psychedelics and doing it. It's set and setting and intention.
Yeah.
Hang on 1 second. White, your microphone is off mute and you seem to be doing things, so hopefully it's not going to catch you off if I just put you on to mute for the moment, White. Okay, I couldn't hear you then. Sorry. White Stallion?
I said my bad, bro.
Oh, no, it's not a problem. It's just you might be doing something you don't want us to hear, so that's one of the things. Right, so we're talking about set and setting. How much knowledge do you have about psychedelics so that I can pitch this quickly at you?
My background's nursing, so
UK nursing, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I deal with a lot of people in that kind of area, or more so take it for recreational purposes rather than restart, if you want to call the consciousness. I know some elements of psychedelics and stuff are used to also help possibly restart. Is that correct? Am I saying that?
Yeah, you're in the right ballpark. What most of our community comes from is, if you read into indigenous tribes, how they use it for resetting problems and doing it that way, being respectful, going through it. Some of them are obviously purgatives, and also you'll find on the chemistry side, and we're just going to find out from you, do you know much about the chemistry compound of LSD, psilocybin, and DMT?
No.
Or not?
I've read a bit about LSD, but not so much the other couple that you've mentioned, but I have read about LSD.
This is going to be very brief, but I'm trying to be quick for you.
I don't want to hold the group up. I mean,
no. Everyone will be quite happy.
You know.
Everyone would be quite happy to go over this. And for the new people, they might not know this as well. So I'm going to be pitching it at low level. So the three ones I've mentioned, LSD, psilocybin, and DMT, their molecules are basically non-addictive.
Yeah.
So you don't have a problem with the body with that. The problem that some people might get is they might like the experience and have that addiction rather than the actual chemical compound driving them to go and get it. The brain has the right receptors for these three compounds, and it allows consciousness to move. If you have it in the right kind of conditions and the right dosages, and we're talking small dosaging in certain respects, when you go down to the neuroscience of it all, because quite a lot of us have dived into the neuroscience, so this is where some of it goes. You'll find that the activity in the brain, instead of lighting up like Las Vegas neon lights, the brain starts to go into almost like a dead state, and consciousness starts to go down into the neurons and into microtubules, which is a deeply dense state of where biophotons of light come up and there's low amounts of energy seeping in, and they think it's like 0 point energy, so it's coming from somewhere else. Because where do you think consciousness comes from? Now, there's no wrong answer here. Everyone will take whatever you say quite happily.
Good question.
I know it's a big topic, but just a quick,
topic.
or you don't know.
I don't think anybody knows where conscious comes from. I think it is I think it's a part of the brain that, I mean, speaking hypothetically here, that we don't know much about, that I think intuition comes into play a lot with it.
Definitely.
I don't know. I think it's I think it's like a sixth sense that we probably don't use enough or can block out.
Very much true. Would you, at this present time, 2021 in November, would you agree with kind of my idea that, if you imagine you have consciousness, but everything is inside consciousness, planets and everything else, because you can't get away from consciousness as far as we know at this present time, yeah?
Yeah.
There you go. There's a quick summation of everything that we ever talk about.
Yeah, I think there's, I don't know, I mean, there's a lot of people say, you know, moons can affect the energy. Obviously, it's proven fact that we are surrounded by energy. Science has proven that.
We're all energy. We're not hard-lined.
Yeah.
It's just how our consciousness is anchored within our body. That's the strange thing, because all electrons float through everything else and we're all vibration. And when you got no vibration, then you got no energy. Everything changes state. Plus, if you're quite happy with this one, and this is my favorite one, because you can't get something from nothing, how did everything start off? Because that means it's a paradox. So that's another topic for which we'll take over a week to kind of discuss on a continuous level.
Yeah.
So what we're saying here is that the psychedelics kind of help to either reset people, and again, we're talking medically. You got PTSD.
Yep.
You've also got other ones for psilocybin, helping with people that are blocked, been abused emotionally, to help them talk to people in a quicker state. You've also got, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Luthea light or not.
No, I haven't heard of that one.
So, for example, imagine that you have a bright white light in front of your eyes and your eyes are closed. This is an LED light, and what happens is it sends pulsating frequencies run by a computer program, which activates your pituitary gland. You know about your pituitary gland? It dumps... Well, it makes the crystals within the pituitary gland start your chemistry off to dump DMT into your body and gives you amazing colorful lights and everything else, because it's overloading your liver, because the enzymes in your liver normally override the DMT. But what you get is, as soon as it stops, I mean, at no point have you given up control to somebody else. You just literally got inside your head this massive art installation of different geometric patterns and colors, and you haven't put anything into your body. You haven't got any substance from anybody else. It's all produced by yourself. And as soon as the light stops, then it stops within about 10 seconds. And it's an amazing kind of thing that your body chemistry can be stimulated by electrons, photons that go through your skull into a grey mass where you've got no eyes as far as you're concerned, but you've got all this imagery of colour, light and sensation and feeling. So,
Cool.
So you've come to the right place if you want these weird kind of conversations.
I'm very open. I think just the field that I work in, I think the things that you witness, the people that you deal with over the years, it's very insightful and eye-opening. And obviously, I mean, come across...
feel free.
Sorry.
I was going to say, feel free to come across and say that if you don't agree with certain things, because nobody actually argues in here, we're quite happy to kind of put either information on the table, accept information, take it off, put it together. And the community's been going on for a long time, so it's a safe place to say things. Have you followed us, by the way, just in case the room crashes? And then you can unfollow us if you don't follow.
Do I follow you or personally?
If you follow the Perceptions Today account,
then follow you. Can I ask what your background is, if you don't mind me asking?
Right. So I've been researching probably for over 30 years because of experiences that have happened in my lifetime. I've had a lot of head injuries and strange occurrences, which I've tried to figure out. I've got a few medical conditions, which meant I've had to look into pain management routines and go through lots of different investigations myself. And due to this, I've followed down the roots of neuroscience. I've got in contact with people via my account. It's all gone organically, that other people from other places around the world have come and connected and talked to me. We talk a lot about epilepsy. We're connected with neuroscientists as well in that field. We can put people in connection with people and sometimes find out answers a lot quicker. And we're very accepting in how things actually happen. So my background is very varied, and we look at the whole picture in a holistic thing, whether it be cosmology, for example. You get a neutron star explodes over here, and lo and behold, thousands of years later on your planet, you're standing in the right spot to suddenly be affected by the neutrons that go into your head but don't affect the person next to you. And you suddenly get either seeing things or transported elsewhere. I mean, obviously, we don't know what everything is, but we're trying to figure it out as we go along. And we know authors, we know researchers, we know podcasts to put you in touch with. Again, in the room, you've got R.N. Voot, who is the author on civilizations and constellations and DMT. You've got Paranormal Blip, who investigates the high strangeness and paranormal. You've got 33 Ruled, who's into hermetics. You've got Krista, who knows a lot about lucid dreaming. Lars is onto telecommunications and radiation. You've also got Humanity Hoax, who's into civilizations as well. You've got experiences like Renegade and also many other people. So we're a very broad band of people.
It's good to have a variety, and good that everybody sort of is coming from different angles of of things
We're not
in
a silo
different
environment.
different.
We're all from different environments.
Yeah,
We've even got
absolutely.
artists as well and sculptors.
Yeah.
So it's a fun place. Not everybody's here, obviously, at the moment.
No.
We just turn up when we can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Shall I shut up
continue
now?
talking to Gabe. But no. Hopefully I've answered or given you at least taste testers of where you might want to go with some of this information.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand people wanting to use the like the psychedelics and the cannabis. Well, it's more the psychedelics really that do a reset and don't they, more on a if you want to call it more on a holistic rather than, I mean, do people use them? Do people feel as if do they use them regularly? I mean, I know you were saying LSD is not addictive. Is that correct?
Yeah, those three molecules are not addictive.
Yeah.
It depends on your personality, though. If your personality is addictive to anything, then obviously it could become addictive.
Absolutely.
You got to make the definitions on those. Now, as you are here, you can open the question to the floor and find out from these people, and then Gabe will continue afterwards. So, M's asking the question: how regularly do you use your things? 33.
Hey, that's why I put my hands up. I'm going to say that. Let's say that I have this experience with pain and suffering. It's become my friend from a back surgery that I had that caused significant damage. So I learned the hard way through that journey, and how that's not a way to go. And so when you use psychedelics, okay, that's why they don't want you near them. It's because they will take away that appetite. Okay, for that addiction. Okay,
you'll have to also say 33 that you're trying to get away from synthetics, which can cause damage to other organs, where psychedelics like psilocybin don't really cause liver damage, etc., as far as we know at this present time.
And that would be correct as well. So I can tell you that I use right now. I'm taking a low dose of mushrooms daily for a few months now. Maybe I'll take a couple of days off, and I'll use DMT, but I won't try to really blast off. It does something to me. It's funny because Paul said, "Be careful of the lawnmower man." But the thing is that DMT seems to be making me smarter.
Hang on, we have to make sure that M knows the film reference for this, otherwise it's going to be a bit of a problem with her. M, are you familiar with Stephen King?
A little bit, only it.
Do you remember the film? You don't have to tell me your right age, but have you ever seen the film Lawnmower Man?
No, I haven't, I don't think.
Okay,
no.
See, 33, It goes over people's heads. So basically, the Lawnmower Man, unfortunately, was a deficient in his mental capacity. He was just a handyman in America. But the scientist decided to try and stimulate his brain growth. And by using computers, algorithms, that he does this. And over time, his brain adapts and grows stronger and stronger, and then he's taking over the world, and he's gone a bit crazy off the other side of it. So that's where the Lawnmower Man reference comes from.
Fair enough. One to watch, baby, then.
So what I just wanted to touch on is that I'm using it in a medicinal way. Before I was able to, find a way to actually get in the way I'd like to. I would use mushrooms once a month. And I think that for depression, I think they're fantastic. And it looks like science is catching up to me. And the DMT it really just touched something open in my third eye, and the way that my perception is. And so I respect it.
Hang on a second, 33. We don't know if M knows about DMT. M, do you know about DMT?
No, is this a drug or?
Right. So your brain produces a chemical compound called dimethyltryptamine, and what happens with that is it's the most hallucinogenic substance known to man, and it's produced naturally by your own body, and you have an enzyme in your liver which automatically neutralizes it. During times of stress, birth, death, or accidents, your brain can release this, and your time sensation can be altered, as well as visual acuity can change. Plants have high dosages of DMT in it, and I think one animal doesn't, but there's a hell of a lot of it around. Like the acacia tree is full of it, and sometimes when it's burnt, if you're close, you might get a slight disorientation and things like that. But if you look it up, DMT, the spirit I'll give you a link to the spirit molecule, and that's it's going to put you down the rabbit hole. Sorry for keep interrupting people, but I'm trying to make sure that everyone's on the same level grounding. If you're quite happy with that, you can do the 100% sign. Otherwise, I'll just shut up being the host and just kick off to one side.
No, you're doing great. I think it's important she didn't know, and I was actually taking a leap that she did know. And as R.N. Boyd says, as above, so below. The molecule, and you can check out his book. He's right here, and click on him. He actually, I didn't know. I knew, all of that, but when I saw his book and he sent me this, the Orion belt, okay, and the molecule for DMT are the same, one of the same. So there you go. The universe is within you, and it's the macrocosm and the macrocosm. Man, it's just fantastic. So I just use it and respect it. I think that there's a place for it, and it's not every day or every week. And so if I'm going to just blast off, like I've already had in the last few months, 2 ego deaths. I've had that repeat a second time. So maybe it was a message that I needed to.
Hang on 1 second, 33.
Shut up. It was a message to shut up.
No.
No, but that was the message, though. But go ahead.
Yeah. M might not know what the ego death point is.
No. This is
okay, right. So you have 2 other chemicals. There's 5-MeO-DMT, which doesn't give you any kind of colors or any other kind of experience. What it does is it literally takes you down to a void, and they classify it as ego death. So it's just you and nothing else. So imagine being in a room full of furniture and suddenly finding all that furniture is taken away and there's nothing apart from blackness and then nothing else. And that's the kind of, you're stripped down, your personality is removed, and it's just whatever your core part of consciousness is. So your desires and also your addictions are not there. That's the best way to kind of describe it, isn't it, 33?
So almost like what you're saying is it almost strips you of your old self, and then you're sort of in a blank canvas, maybe, to actually kind of find out who you really are.
You're right there, kind of, but you have to be already prepared for that moment. That's not going to happen without you truly be ready. You have to recognize that, and so you have to recognize it and accept it and, think it through. And like I said, I like to control my atmosphere. So I really particularly didn't enjoy it much. Okay. So, and then we can get back to the dreaming, but that's when I went to lucid dreaming right from there. Okay. Because once I was
I'm just going to pause you on that one again, 33, unfortunately. All right. The reason why I keep butting in is to make sure that we're kind of okay. So as you're a nurse and you see these things happening, for example, the first time 33 got 5-MeO-DMT, he thought he had DMT, and DMT is meant to give you a kind of colorful experience and also other kind of sensations within it. But because he suddenly had ego death, he didn't realize what was going on. And if you're going to go into an environment ill prepared, it could give you psychological problems, as you can imagine. That it's like going on a mountain hike. If you haven't got the right gear, you can die on that mountain because the weather conditions change exactly. If you go in knowing the exact chemical that you've got, the problem is both of these are 2 white powders, doesn't really help. One's stronger than the other. So that's the kind of thing. And 33 had that experience of the opposite way round of not knowing the first time round.
Yeah. I see. So he didn't really know what to expect, kind of, or
he was expecting one thing. He was expecting to go into one room full of all this information, but then he ended up going to a room that was completely black and dark, and he had no senses.
And I think
so. That's the kind of thing.
That's the risk, isn't it? You take when you can take a drug to try and restart yourself, almost, isn't it? I believe any drug that you take is obviously a risk, isn't it? Everything comes with risk.
Definitely on your biological thing, because you can't guarantee anything. You can't guarantee walking across the road. You can't guarantee that little blood vessel won't burst and kill you now.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
It depends on what you weigh. Yeah, you weigh it on the people around you and what you need to do for them. And if you know that you got the opportunity to do it and you're calm and collected and it's a safe substance, then fine. But we're not advocating going out and shooting up on other things, etc.
Yeah.
So
I think
continue,
things
33, and I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to call you 4M if that's okay, because we have another M, so nobody. You got 4M, so 4M. That's
cool.
okay.
Well, I'll think of a different name next time.
Yeah. All right, darling. Sounds good. Look, the thing is that I wasn't prepared, but I don't regret that, and I would do it 10 out of 10 times. I'll be honest, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me, and I've learned so much. And it was really needed. Really, the message that I got was, "Shut up! You talk too much, and don't talk to people that really don't understand you."
I can agree on that.
You're running into walls, and it's not, it's so unproductive. And so that's where I got my restart, is like where I realized that I don't want to try to convince anybody of anything. If you're not ready for what I have to say, then just keep it moving. And I just want to be around the right people that understand the insanity of what I'm dealing with. And that's my mind. So I hope that clarifies it. So there's no abuse. I do it in a ritual setting, and I respect, the way I'm doing it, and I do it methodically. So I just wanted to add that. And I'm not advocating for anybody to be like me. I'm down my own journey and wouldn't want to wish my experience on anybody, because it's my own.
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, by the way, Em, before I give control back to Gabe, I know these people, so I take liberties with pulling their leg on some things. If you're not happy with me pulling your leg, if we become friends, which I think we can do quite easily, just tell me to shut up and I won't pull your leg, okay?
That's fine. Don't worry. Honestly, I can take a lot. I've taken a lot over the years. So,
well, we don't like to give it out, but it's just because I know 33 quite a lot, and I know a few of the other ones in here.
Yeah,
sometimes the banter can be fun. Right.
Fine.
Gabe?
Okay. Yeah. I was going to speak on something that Krista had mentioned about remembering the dreams. Obviously, since I'm writing a blog and close to 100 entries, over 1,000 words each, I've had some practice this year remembering my dreams, and I can say I'm not a writer. I haven't been a writer. I've never written extensively, but all this vivid dreaming and nightmares, and they've come from a place of just remembering them and wanting to find out what the message was. I think you explained something about the big dream, or Renegade did, where these are repetitive dreams that are telling
Christopher
a story.
Isham was talking about it. Putting together these sections.
Right. So so these long dreams are. I have several that are running at the same time. So it's like I don't feel like they're at a close yet. And like I was explaining before, there's certain barriers that I'm not meant to cross. Either it's self-imposed or it's something else. So it could be a place of like what 33 was talking about. It might be an ego death that I'm getting close to, but I'm not ready for that yet. So but yeah, with remembering the dreams, I find that it's easier when you first wake up from the dream, especially if it's interrupting you in the middle of the night. Not to get up at all. Don't move your body. Stay still as still as possible, and try to pick out visual cues from what you were experiencing, and see if you can work backwards from that. Sometimes I will imagine myself at a I don't know if anyone's in video production, but if you the old school video table where you had the reels where you could run them back and forth and splice together a movie. That's kind of the approach that I take. I'll sit there and I'll start to piece together the visual cues, and then I'm able to replay the dream in my mind before I even get up. So it is possible to learn how to remember your dreams, especially if they're if you feel like they may be prophetic, or they may have something to do with your health. or if they might have something to do with some other message. It could just be something random. But I do try to lie very still once I wake up, and I lay there for a minute or two until I can bring the dream right back into focus. Yeah, I see Will's hand up.
Yeah, Gabe, I was just listening to you there and stuff. Sorry, I was a little busy with my family. Do you think so? Like with what you've researched and stuff you've done, why can we remember certain dreams unwillingly? Like I have 2 dreams in my life that I can still remember to this day, and why is it that I'm remembering these dreams?
Well, I think it comes from a place of it could be trauma, like certain nightmares will give you a trauma, and you, the same thing will pop up all the time. Like I remember a repetitive dream that I had. It was a nightmare when I was younger, and it's the typical falling down the stairs, a flight of stairs, and I was definitely afraid of falling down a flight of stairs.
Quickly, do you
And
think that's
you would always
prophetic
wake up.
about your brother-in-law's house?
No.
There's
I
no
don't think
connection
so.
to that.
No, I did have prophetic dreams, but they're tied to it, and it's weird because if you whatever your focus is in life, and whatever it is you focus on, sometimes you will get a prophetic interruption. I would say it would be like a little bit of the future just comes in. It might just be the tiniest taste of something futuristic, and it'll serve as just like a bit of it'll serve as a way of validating it itself to you, like to say this is real. You're dreaming this, but it's real. And I'll give you one example. If anybody, okay, I got Renegade with a hand up before I continue.
In the beginning, you mentioned something about the cemetery and your father, and after this moment, the journal started of your dreaming. But I was wondering, do you communicate with your father in your dreams, or does he visit you in some kind of a way to give you advice or to still have a good talk?
No, in my experience with visitations in the dreams, I haven't had any recently. I did have a strange one. I haven't. I've seen people that have passed in my dreams, but they never speak to me. I cannot get the I cannot get them to speak to me. They won't speak to me. What they will do is they will inject images and the feeling of what they want to convey. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I got Paul's hand up.
You forgot me. I feel very, very, very hurt. Right, as I was going to say, and also the dog's making an appearance, which is great, obviously with clean teeth. When they're obviously not talking to you, they're doing things with actions and showing you that way, aren't they? Like a tableau or movement of a silent film, I assume. They're not just running away from you and ignoring you that way.
That's correct, and that's only in my experience. I'm pretty sure people who have deeper relationship with their psychic abilities can actually hear them speak and interact. But my psychic proclivity is just being open while I'm asleep. So they do come through, and I will share a story of my wife's uncle. We went to visit my wife's aunt, whose husband had passed away the year previous, and we stayed at their house. And the aunt offered us her bedroom, and we used the bedroom. And that night, I had a very vivid dream of my wife's uncle, and he didn't say anything to me. But if anyone has tissues by them who gets upset or whatever by these kind of stories, what he did for me was show me how much he loved his wife, and it was such a pure vision and honest reveal of his love for her and why he was still there, and he was protecting her and just watching over her. She recently passed away, I think about 2 years ago. So this happened several years back, and it was the most vivid dream of someone who had departed, who wasn't actually connected to me in a familiar sense, because he wasn't my uncle; he was my wife's uncle, and he was married to my wife's aunt. So it was just the weirdest experience, and I didn't get any dialogue. I didn't get anything, but he, in his own way, in the language of dreams and in the language of the universe, he was able to convey to me his love for his wife. And it was just the weirdest experience I ever had. And I believe that it actually happened because I was sleeping in his bed. I don't know how to explain it other than it was definitely someone coming through.
I would assume because obviously our brains interpret things and we try and not rationalize, but electrical stimulation into ways that we can actually interpret. If we were seeing some other kind of energy that we couldn't interpret, we'd never be able to do it. But if we suddenly then go to something that we can actually feel and we've done before and seen in an action, like you said, of the way it was portrayed to you, then it's the best way. It's kind of having that filter to give you the best way of understanding it. But when the filters are ripped off, like some people have experiences, they're kind of totally overloaded and got no idea what to make of it all. And it can be quite astounding, can't it?
I got Will's hand up again.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, so I have a friend of mine that we talk about dreaming and stuff, and certain dreams that don't make sense, and certain dreams you can connect with certain people through this. Would you say, like, I come to the conclusion or theorized on, maybe it's, if you believe in the multiverse, and you're actually, when you're sleeping, your brain connects to that multiverse. And so what you're seeing is a shadow and or a thing in that
William,
spectrum.
you're in the right place.
Right?
You are so in the right place. Everett's multi-world interpretation is one of the things that we just talk about.
It's just, it occurred to me, right? Because it's like, well, certain dreams you can explain, and great, but those ones you can't. And like dreams that you see yourself in, you're like, yeah, I was shooting a gun. It was like World War IV. And I said to my friend, I said, possibly you could be tapping into the multiverse and you're putting your conscious into that version of you. And that's why you can feel.
I want to ask you a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Now, I've explained this to a few people, and it's interesting. And hopefully you haven't heard it before, but stop me if you have. There's other people like Em, she might not have heard it, and we'll go around with it. So on the scientific point, you have Stephen Hawking and you have Herzog, and they came out with a top-down theory for the universe and how matter and consciousness and data is. Have you heard that theory? Because I can explain it in imagery in a very short, less than 3 minutes, I think.
Yeah, do it. I do know a little bit of it, but not all of it. So yeah, go ahead. Knock you.
Now, everybody, close your eyes and imagine with me. You're holding a cylindrical glass that's clear, and in it you have water, and you have a few drops of good old washing up liquid in there of some description that's going to bubble. You have a straw. When you blow down that straw, you have one bubble. That's one universe with all the possibilities of that universe. Lo and behold, have we got that one bubble, everybody? 100% signs are good. All right. So then when you blow a second bubble, the first bubble bursts, and all the data from the first universe with all the probabilities ends up on the second bubble. Now, if you continuously do that, and there's 20 different bubbles, you got 20 different universes, 20 different loads of combinations that could have been there. But the final bubble has all that information contained in it. And if you're inside that bubble and you're part of consciousness, at some point you might actually release yourself from your physical flesh body and connect like a needle on a record into all that information and pick up a little bit of it and suddenly experience it. And this is how you can have your multi-world interpretation as well as every other variation, because in it you don't have to be in your body as what you see now. You could actually be in a completely different body, which could be either female, it could be a rock, it could be anything, but you're part of the information field. And that's where you get like the Akashic record and other bits and pieces. Hopefully that was simple enough for people. I firstly would like to ask Williams if that was okay, and Em, because she's new.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's kind of how I was thinking.
Did you find that okay, Em? Or have you disappeared? Oh, right. Hang on. Did Em get booted out? She didn't get the option, right? Em? 4 M's even?
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I did. I've heard similar kind of stuff in the past.
As long as the concept is nice and easy to understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're on the right track.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Excellent. 33, then Greybeard. Oh, wait a minute, Williams. Did we answer your question?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's, yeah.
With the explanation?
Oh, yeah. Greybeard, I think, was kind of first, but yeah.
Oh, no, hang on. This is going to be... Right, Gabe. Who was first, 33 or Greybeard? I thought it was 33 first.
It was Greybeard.
Why does the screen not show the right bloody icons?
It was 333, though, at the times when you were saying that quickly.
Greybeard, you've managed to upset 33.
Thank you. I wanted to just build off of what William was talking about. And a question more, geared towards Gabe to answer, but leave that open to the floor as well to see what input you have. But we've talked about images being shown to us, and some even mentioned something with smells. Has anyone ever witnessed sensations that you've never felt before in your real life? Say, for instance, I had a dream one time where I was shot. And what surprised me and stuck with me the most was when I was shot, I could feel the warmth of the blood, not to get too gory, I'm sorry, but I could feel it on my skin as it was coming out. And I've never been shot. So that was like almost traumatizing.
To help our research and understanding, leave Perceptions Today's podcast reviews, subscribe to the podcast, along with the other social media accounts, and share. Come and join our live events. That way we can get together and have thoughtful discussions along with advancing our understanding of concepts as we go along.